Welcome back to my running diaries. All right, so when I first started my running journey, I started this channel and I was just doing a running diary where I kind of just recap how my runs have been, my journey overall as a beginner runner, and I kind of lost that along the way. So I kind of wanted to revisit it and kind of just talk to you guys around the ups and downs of running, what I've learned, and spread some advice if I can as a slow, heavy runner. I will have timestamps below if you want to jump around because I'm going to be discussing a lot of different topics today, but kind of just want to make this a vlog slash podcast ish. So if you want to just have in the background as you're working throughout your day, by all means, I tend to yap a lot, so I apologize in advance. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk around why I'm not running a marathon this year. And this was kind of a surprise to me because I had initially planned on running two marathons this year. I was going to run the LA Marathon and the Long Beach Marathon. And if you guys saw my video from a few months ago, you saw I missed the LA Marathon because I was so sick the morning of that I had to go to the ER. And I had said, okay, I'm not going to run the LA Marathon. I'll push off until the Long Beach Marathon. Then when it came time to register for Long Beach Marathon, I kind of got second ideas and second thoughts kind of went through my brain. And so what I decided to do was I registered for the half marathon instead. And this was kind of definitely a different way of looking at my training. I had already planned in my mind mentally that I was going to be running a marathon this year, and it wasn't. And the reason why I chose to do a half marathon instead was because I had done this intermediate training in between my LA Marathon build and what I was going to start my Long Beach Marathon. I kind of did like a recovery slash just a more maintenance kind of build for a couple months. And those couple months made me realize that I just can't seem to get down the long runs as effectively as I want to. And the reason for that is because whenever I would hit the high mileage in my long runs, like around the 14, 15 mile, my body just completely breaks down. And I was like, it's so frustrating for me because I would show up week over week and I want to do 18 miles, 20 miles, and I just can't physically do it. I end up having to walk most of it. And so I started to reflect back on the kind of my journey overall, and I realized I did sort of rush into the whole marathon. I know a lot of people say that you should take your time, slowly build it over a year or two. But I had already decided to do a marathon after a year. And so I think this was my way in my body way of kind of saying, let's scale back a little bit. Let's just get back to the basics. Let's get the half marathon figured out first before we run into a full marathon, especially with the goals that I have in mind. I think it just made more sense for me to achieve a good timing for the half marathon, and then that will give me hopefully the confidence to build towards a full marathon. So that's why I decided to run the Long Beach half marathon, and that's why in these diaries I'm going to be recapping my journey in my half marathon training. So to get you guys caught up back on where I am in my training, I'm actually on currently week 8 right now of my half marathon training. The Long Beach Marathon is going to be, I think, the first week of October, so I'm still about less than halfway away. So I still have some time to kind of go through it, and so far training's been great. I think the challenge for me was to really get used to the lower mileage because, again, I was hoping to run a lot longer miles, and I'm not, but I think it's also working in the benefit for me personally as well. And another thing on top of it is I'm also doing this 75 hard challenge with my friends. And if you guys haven't heard about the 75 hard challenge, it's essentially where you're doing 2 workouts a day, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, both 45 minutes each. On top of that, you would be doing a good diet, drinking a gallon of water a day. But because of that, I've been running every single day because the only outdoor activity I actually enjoy doing is running right now. I do walk sometimes in between, but most of my outdoor training has been running. So if you guys see me and follow me on Strava, I'm pretty much running almost every single day. And so because of that, I've just been focused around trying to get a good number of miles in. And I've definitely increased my total miles per week, but my long runs aren't anywhere as crazy as they were before. I think the longest run I've done so far on this training plan is 8 miles, which seems a little bit more easy and doable, and I feel much fresher and better after it. I think the fact that I'm running every day, but also running a lot more slower paces is definitely helpful. And the thing that's been helpful is that I've been also running my easy runs almost 5 to 6 miles at a time. Before, my easy runs were on the 3 mile range. Now they're almost double that, and I can get through those pretty quickly. Granted, I'm still taking a long time to get through it because I'm still a slow runner, but the fact I can run my easy run and make it an easy workout, but I'm running out there for over an hour, hour and 20 minutes, that's amazing for me, honestly. It's been definitely helpful to be able to run consistently every single day. I think the fact that when I did my 5K every day for a 30-day challenge definitely helped me prep for this. I am much more cognizant of trying to be deliberate about running slower on days where I don't feel healthy, or doing a run walk method, or just walking if I have to, because I am prioritizing recovery and my muscles versus just going out there all crazy and trying to get these high number of miles per week. So one of the highlight runs from last week, week 7, was interval workout I did, and it kind of encapsulates my entire frustrations as well as something that I've been working on for summer training, and that's around heat training. When I did my marathon build last year, I was so focused around trying to get to the times that I wanted to that I would just run indoors a lot. I was running my treadmill so much last year, especially during the summer. I think there was a point where almost for a month straight out, all my runs were indoors. And I don't know about you guys, but running indoors versus running outdoors are two very separate experiences. I think running outdoors is significantly harder for me. I think mechanically it makes sense because you're not having something that's pushing you forward. But I think also the weather changes as well as the terrain changes definitely challenge your body a little bit more. So when I do a 5 mile easy run at the pace that I'm running outdoors, the treadmill will feel a lot easier. But if I do the same workout outdoors, it feels significantly harder. I think it's just because running outdoors is a challenge. And I think I've told myself, especially during summer, I have to get this heat training done properly and be much more intentional about it. So that brings me back to week 7. And I had this interval workout where it was 1 kilometer repeats. And if you guys don't know, Runna has this new app updates where they kind of adjust your paces and your workouts based on how hot it's going to be. So at that time, I think it had predicted the weather was going to be around 91 degrees with 80% humidity. We have been getting a lot of humidity recently in Southern California. I'm not sure why. It's usually just dry heat, but we're getting a lot more humidity nowadays. And so the pace had been adjusted significantly. I think it had gone to a 10:50 per mile for the 1 kilometer down to, I think, like 11:30. It had adjusted. I'll leave the actual workouts over here. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had adjusted it overall. And so that was good because I think when it adjusted it, I think those paces were much more realistic for me as far as where I felt that day, my fitness level that day. And so I had gone out there, I did my warm-up. Warm-up was definitely brutal because I think it was already hot and I was already running and in zone 3. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough workout for sure. And so my first rep for the kilometer, I did it around the pace that it wanted me to do, adjusted, right? And I felt good. It felt like I was on pace. I didn't feel like I was pushing too hard. It felt really, really good overall. And then I think what I decided was, let me just go back to the pace that it had originally wanted me to be at and see if I can manage that for the next few rounds. And that's exactly what I did. I actually ended those rounds around the paces that it had expected me to be at, and I was definitely burnt out at the end. That was probably one of the most difficult workouts I had done recently because of how hot it was, plus it was outside and all that kind of stuff. But it was also the most rewarding because I was like, oh man, I actually got through it with the pace that I wanted to. It felt really, really good. All right, lap 1, 10:19. Felt pretty good. A little tiring towards the end. All right, lap 2, 10 minutes flat. That's also mostly uphill too. Pretty good. It's getting hot. Almost halfway there. All right, lap 3, 9:53. Home stretch, 2 more laps to go in the cool down. It's getting hot. Lap 4, 9:55. All right, final lap, 9:51. Way to finish out strong. Now for a cool down. But this is where the frustration comes in. The next day, that workout that I had done the day before took everything out of me. I think I was so fatigued from that workout. I think I had over pushed so hard on that workout where I had an easy run plan that day. I think I got about 15-20 minutes in and I was just completely not there physically. I completely had botched the whole run. I could not run anymore. I ended up just walking back if I needed to, and that was like what happened. I realized I think I was just super tired and fatigued from the day before. It was not easy at all. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna call it. And I learned my lesson, because I think being a ambitious person in trainings can definitely affect your other trainings. And I think that's what I had learned from that one specific run. So the next topic I want to talk about was beginner's tips. And I had done this video I think a long time ago, and this is when I was still a beginner. I think I've, now that I've put about a year and a half more into running, I probably have some more insights as far as what I've learned. And it's perfect because I had a friend, my best friend, who is doing the 75 hard with me, and I motivated him to run a 5K with me later this year in November. And it's because honestly, I just want to find more running friends to run with and kind of share the hobby with. And a lot of my best friends that I know personally, they don't run, they never imagined running, and they're actually surprised that even I run for, you know, for fun and whatnot. But he's, you know, very much into it now, and I think he wants to try it out. He's never run before, so I think it was a perfect way for me to sort of kind of walk him through what I learned, what I learned along the way. And then talking to him, I realized that, you know, I told him, oh, I'm a beginner runner too. He's like, how are you a beginner runner? Because you've been running for almost 2 years now. And that was a point where I was like, am I still a beginner runner? The reason I say that is because a lot of times there's two avenues of people that look at for beginner runners, right? There are those people who look at it as a point of how long they've been running for, or the ones that look at pace. So I think I fall within the ones that my scope of it is for the ones that have been running for a long time. So I think running for 2.5 years now, I feel like I'm not quite a beginner yet. I'm learning along the way. But if you ask somebody else who's running a 3 hour marathon, maybe they might still assume that I'm still a beginner runner because I'm running a 5.5 hour marathon, right? So I guess it depends on what camp you fall under. I would love to know where you guys think a beginner versus intermediate fall in. I'm personally just gonna say I'm not necessarily a beginner. I've just been running for a very long time now, so I kind of consider myself an intermediate runner who's still trying to get faster along the way. Nonetheless, he was asking me tips, right? It's like, hey, what do you recommend? What are shoes you recommend? And I was like, you know what? Let me kind of walk you through what I would recommend to a beginner runner, and you know, kind of see if what I learned along the way, essentially, right? And what are some things that I didn't think about before that I wish I had done when I had first started running. So first thing I told him was, don't look at the number of miles you're going to run that day. Just look at how long you'll be running at. So I told him, when you go out there, just think to your head, in your mind, that I'm going to be running for 30 minutes today. Doesn't matter how far you run, doesn't matter how long, you know, all that stuff. Just think about, I want to run for 30 minutes. I think when I first had started running, I was so bogged down around my mileage that I was not focusing on just trying to become a better runner overall. And I think having a time goal versus a mile goal is significantly better for runners overall. And I think I realized this also recently because, as I mentioned in 75 Hard, you have to do a 45-minute workout. And there are days where I don't have a training plan run planned. And so I would just pretty much go out there for 45 minutes. And I find those runs to be the best for me because I honestly have to just look at my watch to see how far or how long I've been running for and not look at the distance, right? So I would just look at my watch and I would just say, okay, you have 22 and a half minutes left. So I would just turn back around and go back the other way. And now I would do my 45 minutes, you know, going out and back. And those runs are, for me, feel the easiest and the most, you know, overall like fun because I could just go out there, not think about pace, not think about how far I'm running, just go out to 45 minutes and come back and that's it. I find that to be a lot more enjoyable as well. And the second thing that kind of came up was around gear, right? He was asking me what is the best shoes I would recommend and what are some of the other stuff he should think about getting gels and all this kind of stuff. I told him, don't overcomplicate it. Just get a good pair of running shoes that work well for you, and that is it. He has an Apple Watch, so I'm like, just use your Apple Watch for all your runs. Just track it that way. You can put in a workout if you want to. If you don't want to put in a workout, just go out there and run normally in your Apple Watch. That's perfectly fine. But I told him just the only thing I would recommend, and this is probably me as a shoe reviewer, is to just get a good pair of running shoes, and they will carry you along the way. I think I had recommended a few to him. I think the 1080 V15s, some Hokas, and some Brooks and all that kind of stuff. And I think he said those were a little too cushioned for him. So for him, I recommended Nova Blast 5 because it's my personal favorite daily trainer. I haven't tried a 6 yet, so I can't really speak to it. But I told him that Nova Blast 5 works well. I think that's the one that he's going to stick with too as well. So just don't worry about the number of items you have to get. Just get a good pair of running shoes and just get out there. And the third thing I told him, and this is probably the most common complaint for beginner runners, is easy running feels so easy and boring and slow. And that is exactly the point. I told him the point of easy running is that I want you to show up the next day or the day after. If you're recovering, I want you to show up for that day, because if you go out there and run as fast as you can every single time, you will not show up, and this whole journey will not last. Because that's something that I did when I first began, and I learned the hard way. I quit so many times before running, but what's made me stick around for so long was really prioritizing easy runs over workouts and doing most of my running outdoors easy. And so I can just show up next day and feel okay and go out there and run. So I told him prioritize easy runs, and it should feel easy. You should be able to sing a song, or if you're by yourself, hum along if you don't want to sing out loud. But that is where your Goldilocks zone of zone 2 would be. And if that means you're walking most of the time, that's okay too. Don't worry about that. Fourth thing I told him, after you do your runs, rest up. That is also something that I did not do because I had become so engulfed into the running hobby that I would just want to go out there and run all the time, run every day. And I think over time, I've gotten my body used to it to where I'm now running every day and I'm able to rest in between, or understanding what my body's saying. Hey, like I think today's going to be a recovery day or a walk day. That's also something that I'm implementing as well. So I told them, make sure you incorporate recovery, because when you first start running, your body's going to be like, what in the world are we doing? This is not something that I've been trained for. We don't do this. We sit around most of the time. Why are we running all of a sudden? And that's when you tell your body that I'm going to rest and recover today and get back out the next time. And last but not least, this is more of a personal one, an emotional one, if you will, and that is find your why. If you guys, again, follow my journey, I had a video I made, I believe my third or fourth video in the channel, where I talked about my why. Why do I run? Why am I motivated to go out there and run? And that's around my, my family, what my dad had gone through, and just me wanting to show off my family as I get older. That's why I'm continuing to stick with this. So I told them, motivation, especially when you're motivated and you're learning new things about running, you're gonna be extra happy, and the first couple weeks you're gonna feel like a blast. And it's might be something that I saw on David Goggins' podcast, whatever it was, I think, or motivational video I used to watch a long time ago, where it talked about people are super happy and motivated when they are making their New Year's resolution, when they're making all this checklist that they want to do. But the truth and the reality comes in when you're 2 weeks after New Year's hits and you're past that motivational period. That's when you face yourself, and that's when you find out your why, and you kind of work through it. And so I told them, take a time and find out, why are you doing this? What is your reasoning? It could be someone, it could be something, it could be somewhere, whatever it is. Find what that is first, and that's going to be your cornerstone that's going to carry you through. Because for me, my why, and why, when I made that video, if you guys want to see it, I'll leave a link up above. That video and that why is what has continued to truly carry me through my entire journey so far. Well, there you guys have it. I know it's more of a raw video. I haven't done this in a long time, and it actually feels really good because I can finally kind of talk through some of my failures and some of my wins. I try to make my channel as honest as I can, especially when it comes to my reviews, but also just my journey itself. I know running isn't 100% happy for me all the time. There are days when I don't want to go out there, and I feel like this is probably the best way for me to express that, kind of talk to my frustrations and what I think I want to change in my training. And what I love best about this is you guys commenting about my journey as well. I love that because I have gotten so many good tips, a lot of your personal journeys. Some of you struggle with some of the same things that I do, or some of you have struggled in the past and said, here's how I got around it. So please continue to comment. Tell me how you're doing your journeys. Tell me what I can do differently. I'm very much into listening to experts, people who have done it far longer than I have. So I'm always learning this sport. I love it. I will continue to do it for the rest of my life, I feel like, as long as I'm willing to. Thank you guys so much. Leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts around this? What are some other tips that I may have missed for beginner runners? I will probably do a much more in-depth video of that topic in a separate time, but I just want to kind of go out there and tell you what I honestly told my friend. It was a very long conversation I had with him, but I think he really appreciated it because there were some things that he didn't know and he learned along the way as well. So I figured I shared that with you as well. Next week I'll do a second version of this. It'll probably be around obviously my week 8. What is my favorite one, or what are some things I learned that day? Also, I think I want to talk about pacing a little bit, how to pace an easy, interval, all that kind of stuff. What my thought process around that as well. So can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.